Hello, 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 and welcome to the new normal. It's me, Deborah Francis White, and this is a show from the Guilty Feminist about life and feminism in lockdown. Now, today my guest is Pippa Evans. She's a phenomenal improviser, comedian, stand-up comedian, character comedian, and she does all sorts of wonderful things. She started the Sunday Assembly, which is an incredible space. So we're very excited to have her on today. I'll just wait till a few more people jump on. And in the meantime, I wanted to let you know that you can buy the new normal t-shirts, and 100% of the profit goes to the artist, the guest. And if the guest is okay for money and they want to, they can nominate another comedian, Guilty Feminist regular, to have the money instead, which some people have very generously done because some people are finding it hard to pay their rent right now. So if you go to guiltyfeminist.com and you look under merch, you should be able to see it there. Some of the slogans are absolutely brilliant. I was just thinking of Ellen Jones's Big Gay Mess, you might enjoy. Maggie Smith Cures Everything. There's some Bleak Sterical by Susan McComas, very popular. So go and check them out there. Under merch, it's stay-at-home t-shirts, and they're printed on demand, so there's no waste. Unless you buy one, it won't get printed up. So let me see if I can bring Pippa Evans on now. No, it doesn't look like she's on yet. So let me see. I should wait a bit longer. Or should I go and message her? I just spoke to her, so I think she should be on soon. You can also get Guilty Feminist merch if you'd like to support us. You could also support our Patreon. If you would like to, you can do a one-off payment, or you can pay every month. For as little as £2.50 a month, you get benefits. So you get extra behind-the-scenes stuff. And now I've finished this big script, there will be many more Patreon benefits. I'm going to be making more videos and things. I've been working day and night on a script. I've been averaging 3 hours sleep a night lately. Thank you for loving my glasses. I got them from Trelise Cooper. Now, I bought them, and then I had them for so long, and they were like my signature glasses, and I took them on and off 300 times a day. And so eventually one of the arms came off, which I would have just taken it to an optician, but I don't know if you've noticed, they aren't open right now. So I'm just going to check with Pippa, because she might think it's Guilty Feminist. Yeah, I think she thinks. I'm back. So I've messaged her. So I wrote to them because they didn't have my strength, their reading glasses for screens, and I didn't have my strength left. And I wrote to them and said I was a big fan of theirs, and I that 90% of my career was now answering the question, where did you get those glasses, on Instagram, and always answering amazing New Zealand designer Trelise Cooper. And they sent me so many brand new glasses. So Monday, when I'm looking and feeling more glamorous, I will give you not Monday. What day is it tomorrow? Is it Tuesday tomorrow? Wednesday tomorrow. On Wednesday, I will show you, when I'm looking more glamorous, all of the different sorts of glasses they sent me. Very, very kindly. But it turned out, I'm a fan of Trelise Cooper, and it turned out that the lovely lady who I contacted, who does their PR, but also is a designer for some of their stuff as well, said, oh, I spoke to Trelise and she is a big fan of the podcast. So that was very nice. Here we go. Let's see if Pippa's on now. I am Pippa Evans. Are you there? In 5, 4, 3, 2... Yay! She is Pippa Evans. That handle did not lie.
That was so funny. That was like the most frustrating thing of being like,
You
I'm
here.
here.
It was just like, and people going, she's there. I'm like, well, she's not on my special list. And I did the search. There was nothing there. Anyway, you are Pippa Evans. Your handle does not lie, babe.
No, it's 100% truthful. A handle that speaks only the truth. And I defy anyone to say, although my phone now predict, if I put Pippa, you know, when you have to write your name in a form or something, and it tells you what it says, I put Pippa and it instantly offers me Middleton, which is really frustrating because I don't think I've ever written out the name Pippa Middleton ever in my life.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I have the same problem.
Insight to the problem of Pippa.
I have got the same problem with Deborah Mitford. She's very contemporary. I don't.
That is so funny that you've just mentioned her. I just read her memoirs.
Did you? Deborah,
I really
the
did.
Duchess of Devonshire.
It's so funny.
I'm writing
And
about this era at the moment.
are you? Oh, how
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, I just read it, and they're just such fascinating sisters, aren't they? And then she just has this kind of crazy life where she's like, and then I was sat next to JFK, and we had a wonderful time, and I won't hear anyone say anything other.
Yes, yes, it's fantastic. It's so fantastic. I really love that era. It's a bit of an I'm a feminist Bart because, you know, although, yeah, as I suspected, Tom, I'm too pixelated, no one can see me. Tom is determined that the internet works in here, and every day tells me that I can do the show in here, and every day I explain to him that I can't, and every day he says that I can, and then I don't, and then he goes, try it today. But I really, Tom, can you put the blinds down in here? Because the light's so bad, I'm really, for some reason, very red in the face. Can you put the blinds down? I can't bear the light in here. It's just, it depresses me so much.
Why do you think you're so red in the face?
Myself. I don't know. I think it's just anxiety probably.
Quite stressed.
I've been having very little sleep. I'm actually very shockingly happy in lockdown. But I think because I've been working very hard the last few days on a script and I've not been getting much sleep. No, can you put all of the blinds down? Because honestly, I hate the light in here. Oh, overhead light.
I've now got an image that you have so many blinds that Tom is running. Yes. How many blinds do you have?
Well, Tom, I'll show you Tom doing the blinds. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Tom doing the blinds.
He's doing the blinds for me. But see, I still look really red. And I just can't do overhead light at the moment. And it's such a weird thing that I get anxious about light. But it is probably a lockdown. Like, I'm coping so well in lockdown that I have what I call Lockholm syndrome, where I don't want it to end. And I know that's a response. That's obviously a response. So obviously that's not true, but it is. A friend of mine said now we're allowed to drive. And she's driving somewhere that she needs to go, and she went, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared to be back out and people, and like what is, and like this is the most functional cosmopolitan city girl I know. She's like, but I'll leave the house and there'll be people and there'll be, what will there be? And it's just like, you know, so there's that. Have you had any Lockholm syndrome?
Oh, I've hardly gone outside. Have to make myself go outside because I'm very nervous about what's outside. And I had a very interesting conversation with someone who was a kid during Chernobyl. And he said this is the closest he's ever had to experiencing what he experienced when he was a kid. Because when he was a kid, he was told, you can't go out there, that will really harm you. And of course, he was a kid. So, and he'd look out the window and see, well, I can't see anything. I don't see it, but I can see that my parents are worried for me. So and that was the closest sort of analogy to it that made sort of sense to me. That you look out, I've got a lovely tree outside, and I love the area I live in, but there's something that says don't go out there, and it's not Boris saying just don't go out there unless you have to. It's like the atmosphere saying it.
The advice from Boris that really strikes to the heart of anything, is it?
No, it doesn't. But I did have an amazing conversation actually with another lady who was saying similar to what you just said, Deb, that she was nervous about lockdown ending because actually the space she'd been given as someone who wasn't on the front line and as someone who didn't have immediate worries from lockdown, she said she found herself guiltily asking that lockdown never end, sort of, you know, asking the universe. And then she said, well, maybe actually what we need to be asking ourselves is what we want to take on with us. So, you know, my gift from the lockdown has been, look how much calmer you are when you're not traveling constantly and constantly doing everything and running around and doing a million gigs, etc., etc. Maybe when we return to whatever normal becomes, we don't have to return to that life that we lived only 8 weeks ago, you know.
Yeah, we need to, yeah, exactly. And I think actually the opportunity won't be there because there's not going to be a million gigs. There'll be slowly some reinstated in small venues, and it will. So I think, you know, given the life we lead, where we have to choose what work we take, and you feel like you need to take everything, and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And you want to take it, you know, it's not like I don't feel like I have to take it. It's more like everything I do, I really want to be doing. But you're like me, you know, you're a creator of spaces, and you create great improv spaces. You created Sunday Assembly, or co-created Sunday Assembly. So you are very similar to me, I think, in that way. And you want to be in all those spaces. You want to be doing those things, and you want to be doing creative gigs where you're expressing yourself artistically. But it does take a toll, I've realized, on the body.
But is there also something to be said for wanting to do them well? So I think that's been my thing of, yes, I can. So it's like anyone who's watching who's been to the Edinburgh Festival or been part of the Edinburgh Festival, when you first do it, I think there's a real rite of passage, which is, I do 25 shows a day and haven't slept for an hour, and that makes me a great comedian. Whereas actually, if you just do one show really well, you'll probably have a better Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You know, so getting to that sort of going, oh, maybe I can do two things really well.
Yeah, I have had overcrowded Edinburghs. But to be honest with you, some of my best Edinburghs, this might be more a conversation for us in the pub if there was one open, but some of my best Edinburghs, I have actually had multiple gigs, but they've had less or more taxing. So I've been in a play, but only 3 scenes. And then I've done my solo show, and then I've had an improv show to go to. And the reason that's worked for me is I have no time to sit and get anxious about what anyone's saying about any one of the shows. And if one of the gigs is a bit flat, so there's another one. Whereas when I have one gig in Edinburgh, it's like, it's got to be amazing. And if I have a flat day and then I read a 3-star review, I'm like, well, there's no point. And then I've got 23 hours to fill of anxiety. So my personality, I've definitely overdone it. You should not do more than 3 shows a day if it's a special show, but 3 shows a day is your max, I think. But for me, 3 shows a day, I'm much saner than 1 show a day, where all the eggs are in that show basket. But
well, definitely, and I think I share that with you in the same way that right now, you know, I'm working on 2 projects, and then with probably 3 if you include all the extra stuff we're doing. Showstopper's doing a lot of online content. And it feels manageable. So I think it is that thing, exactly like you say, if all your eggs are in one basket, have a couple of things bubbling, then you can do it. I've often had sort of 17 pans on a 4-ring hob, so it's been quite stressful. So I think what I've realised is I just need to get a few pans off the hob and be able to watch them all bubble away.
What a great expression. So can I ask you, Pippa, has this lockdown given you any new I'm a Feminist parts? Is there anything that you are now doing differently or going, oh God? So to give you some time to think, one of my I'm a Feminist parts is I'm a Feminist part. I think the first Thursday after lockdown, we will come out onto the street and applaud the waxers. I'm desperate for everything to be smooth. I can't imagine how busy they're going to be when we're allowed to get waxed again. And I think we are probably allowed to get waxed now if it's just one person coming to the house. But I think it's too close though, isn't it? Like someone paving your garden. I don't have a garden, so there's no paving in my life. But someone paving your garden can stand well away. You can't wax at a socially distant distance, can you?
No. And
I suppose you could do the bikini line. You couldn't do the eyebrows.
I think it'd be hard to get the purchase from 2 meters away, wouldn't it? That'd be the worry for me. I don't think you'd be able to do that with a 2-meter rule. But just imagining these beauticians.
I know, and you're not, are you? Because I'm 77 centimeters. So, but that's if I wanted my toes waxed, they could almost be 2 meters away. But if I wanted my bikini line waxed, that's a meter at most away.
I'm imagining that scene, you know, in Monty Python in The Meaning of Life, the guys who are like, hello, with the really long arms, the waiters.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm imagining them waxing us.
Do you have any feminist parts?
I'm a feminist, but I will put my makeup on for a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
I
think it's good too. And I don't always have time. Like I sometimes I'm doing exercise on Zoom classes, and then sometimes straight after I have to do an exercise Zoom, and then I just literally don't have time because it's 2 back to back. But I
Deborah,
always
I
feel
literally
bad.
will organise that any Zoom meeting gives me at least a 30-minute window.
That's, you know what, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Because even with this, like today, I did put on a bit of tinted moisturizer this morning, but now for some reason, I'm very red. And I feel it. We're looking at ourselves too much. We are
Yeah, of
looking at
course.
ourselves too much. I think there's going to be a real spate of dentistry and Botox and all sorts after this, because we're just seeing each other, we're just seeing ourselves too much. And the irony is, Pippa, we've never looked at ourselves more and we've never looked worse, because we can't get anything done. Like, you can't get your hair done or anything. And I'm like,
Yeah,
and I'm in sweats and stuff like that. Like, I'm not even wearing a bra now, Pippa. I'm not even wearing a bra, and I'm sitting on
I
Instagram
wear
Live and I'm
those. I tell you what I wear. I wear those elasticated ones you buy from the market. You know, they've got no wire in them,
oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they sort of pretend like they've got some kind of special weaving device that's going to give you support, but they don't. They're
I
just
do most days.
four for a fiver.
This morning, I threw on a kind of nighty dress situation, like a black nighty. It could be a dress, could be a nighty. I mean, it is a nighty,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
feels like a bit like a maxi. And I just couldn't find the right bra. And I thought, oh, who cares? But then I'm on a Zoom now. I'm on Instagram Live. I'm on television, Pippa. This is how we make television now, with no bra. Anyway, that's more me.
Congratulations on your series.
Congratulations, so I was.
Your new series. If there's we can all say we've got a television series now, can't we?
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations
Well,
on
this
your
is
new
how they make
series.
everything now. I watch Graham Norton and it looks like this. Are you?
Well, it'll be interesting
You
in half an hour. Sorry, I was going to say I said half an hour, but what I meant was in like 6 months. That's how messed up my time is. That I now think half an hour is 6 months.
Yeah, well,
but that will we accept this, what we're doing right now, as television, like the quality of it being just us on our phones, or in 6 months' time, do we think technology will have advanced in a way that the people who know about technology will have found a way to make it look better? Because that's the only thing that really separates us, isn't it? You know, is television studios have amazing lights and beautiful cameras and amazingly talented people, but are they going to be able to use their skills to turn this into something so elevated that this is no longer acceptable?
Well, this is what I wonder about the future of all this. But one thing I do think is, after lockdown, or certainly, yeah, after lockdown, I think all the big LA stars, the new trend will be, you know, those mansions will be to get a TV studio in your house. So if we have to lock down again, you have 3 cameras operated, or, you know, you can operate it from your chair, you can operate yourself, you can operate it, someone in your house can operate it, and it will be 3 cameras, it'll be green screen, it'll be like a sofa set, like a chat show, and that it can also be used to work with your personal trainer. They can see you from every angle. I'm telling you, people are going to have TV studios at home. Not here, no one's got the money, but in Los Angeles they will.
Oh, 100, yeah, absolutely. So it means, like, if we have a second lockdown, so if we have this, we're allowed out again, everything's okay, and then another peak arises and we're all locked down, this will not be acceptable, will it? Because everyone will say, well, you should know how to do all this stuff now. You should have the right lights, and you shoddy camera work even on your iPhone is not going to be acceptable.
Oh God, that's all I need. Higher expectations. Speaking of which, Pippa, do you have any have you developed, and it's okay to say no, any coping strategies for, like, emotional mental stability? Is there anything you do that you go, if I do that, I feel better?
I've found this the biggest roller coaster, bigger than Ronan Keating's roller coaster. Like, this is a big roller coaster.
I mean, you've just got to ride it.
You've just got to ride it. And I have been so, like, at one point I was so manic because I think, being a live performer, I'm so used to spending 5 nights a week with an audience, talking to them, chatting to, getting my energy back off them, and giving my energy away, because I'm quite a high energy person. That I was climbing the walls, like having to sing at my husband's face, and friends recorded me a round of applause. That's how worried they were about me. And then and then I have had 2 or 3 days where I've just been weeping for 24 hours for no reason, like like someone will give me a tiny bit of like criticism or feedback, or from a project, and I'll just start crying, and then the world will have ended. And it's kind of, but my logical brain says this is not a normal reaction. But I can't my logical brain cannot override my emotional brain right now.
Well,
so
I think that
my stress,
when I get depressed, I think the truth has been revealed to me. All the rest of the time I was deluded, and now the truth's been revealed. So I don't think, oh, I'm depressed. I think this is the reality. Why didn't I know this till now? I think
you need to read this book. It's called Breaking Open.
Well, I'm going to ask you about books in a minute. So you've popped onto that. But can I have one small suggestion for you though, Pippa? Thursday evening, 5 to 8, do a sketch in your window and then open the window, and then you will hear the applause and you can bow out the window. It might just be the thing you need. Just do like,
it might be that.
Just do the balcony speech from Juliet at 5 to 8 out the window, and then people will come out and be like, woo, banging their saucepans.
Like when you do a stonking gig on a mixed bill night and the MC comes on a bit early at the end of your set just to kind of accept the applause on your behalf, like that, you mean?
Exactly. Step in and get those doctors, nurses and other carers and NHS staff get their applause. They're not, I mean, it's enough to go round. You can soak in a bit. They won't know.
It's enough. They're busy. They're busy.
They hear it. Thank you. And then, please, can we have some protective clothing? Because that applause is not going to stop me getting COVID, as lovely as it is. And so I don't mind if you do the balcony speech.
I had a great phone call. So I am a big believer in, if you're feeling down, having a kind of people that you tell, your closest friends. I'm not a big fan of announcing it to everyone, because I don't think you can trust that everybody's going to hold you where you are. But knowing like this X, Y, and Z, these are the people that I'll go to. And I was having to be having a sad day, but I chose to call my dad, who isn't one of those people. And he just went, well, I don't know what to do with that information. So here's your mother.
Oh,
lovely.
My God.
But I loved his just truthful response. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that information.
Yeah. My dad always used to say, well, the important thing is to forget all that and move on. Well, not look forward. No need to be analysing or looking back. And that's because that's how he was, I'm like, no, I need to process this, Father.
I need to sit with who I am right now.
Yeah, I'll get your mother was my father's stock in trade. Bless him. I loved him dearly and still do. But that I'll get your mother is not uncommon. Can I ask, is there anything that surprised you about your response to this, or surprised you about the humanity's response to this, in a good or a bad way?
Despite my emotional Ronan Keating roller coaster response, I think I've been quite calm, and I really think that's the improviser in me, just going with what happens next. So it's like, well, this is where we are. This is the information we have. So we're just gonna go along with it. So I'm pleased. I'm so pleased to have 15 years of improv under my belt as a kind of armor in this time, because it's all about not knowing and being okay with not knowing. So I'm pleased in that sense, that it's been okay to adapt to. And humanity, I suppose I'm surprised. I am surprised by how many people think it's stupid to not stay at home. To stay at home, sorry. So I am surprised when I see, like, there were some neighbours having a barbecue. I live on quite a big old council estate, and it was like some neighbour, and they definitely weren't from the same house. And I just was sort of going, I don't know, I just can't understand it really, because it's just selfish. So I think the selfishness has surprised me in some people's response, and saddens me, because people keep comparing it to the Blitz. The Blitz was 6 years. So you know, people
I
turned,
know.
people sat in the dark for 6 years. They didn't
I
have
know,
a
as
lights
opposed
on,
to
you
eight
know,
weeks. I know, I know, I know.
eight
But isn't it
weeks.
quick how quickly we adapt, and we think this is almost feels like it's never been any other way in some weird way now. First, I found it so hard to adapt, and now I'm like, this is my life now, you know. And I know, of course, it isn't this. I will look back on this as a strange blip in time, and things will, you know, go back slowly to something like what we had, and there'll be lots of changes, and it will be new. But you know, I do think we are. It surprises me how adaptable we are. It also surprises me how like selfish people are, and like now people saying the economy, and I'm like, if there were two buildings on fire and the firefighters could only put out one, and one building was full of money and one building was full of people, you'd find very few people who'd go, oh, save the money building. You really would. Like, the morality is clear there, and this is the same situation. It just feels like we can't see we can't see the people dying, really, you know. I think that's how we need to start looking at it. It's money
I
over
think
lives.
yeah, and I think we can't. The reason is that it is too big for us to recognize that we value money over people, because that is the system that we have. Like, the system we have says
Yeah.
money, productivity is more important than people. You are only worth something if you pay your taxes. And if the state has to pay for you, you have little to no value, which horrifies me. But that is the system we live in, and the thought of changing that system, adapting that system, is so huge that it's much easier for us to just plod along and keep within those parameters. Like, we sort of talk about change, but what could change really look like when we actually think, how could we adapt our current system, where we realize how many people are living hand to mouth, how many people are reliant, shopkeepers, restaurants, all of these people in the service industries who've all lost their total income. How many of my personal friends who perform or entertain or work in the services, who were living 1 month's rent at a time and now are completely buggered, and can't see what the future is. So we've created a system that doesn't actually support us. It just puts us into a massive hamster wheel. And the thought of untangling that is just so mammoth.
Do you have any hope for humanity that's renewed out of this, that maybe we will face these things, face the environment? Is there any hope that you can see because of this?
I think that I have huge hope always, because I am an optimistic person, and I'm really excited by some of the conversations that we are having. Like, we're having this conversation now, and it doesn't feel like a weird conversation to have, whereas previously I might have felt a bit weird saying we should really think about systems change. But I really like, there was an article in The Guardian about how lots of people are talking about how we want to get rid of GDP as our main way of measuring life fulfillment, and the idea that people's well-being should be the thing that we're measuring the well. But I love that that conversation is happening in a more mainstream way. Okay, it was The Guardian, it wasn't, you know, The Sun, but it would be great to see that conversation just getting wider and bigger. And I think we will, because we're realizing that when everyone has to be in their home, what kind of life is that when you've got people squeezed into tiny flats, you've got people who don't have a home, you've got people who can't pay their rent.
So is there any feminist activity, so can we sort of segue from hope to action? Is there any feminist action you'd like us to take, or activist action that you'd like us to take, that we can get on board? Is there a cause, a foundation, a charity, an action that we could help you with today?
Well, do you know, it's probably a bit of a, what is it, a side. I really love the group Clean Break, who are a women's theatre group working mainly with women who've been through the justice system, and the reason I think their work is really important right now is because they're giving a voice to people that don't have a voice, and also I think that's again a group that slides through the cracks are people who have just been released from the prison system, who are just getting their lives back together right in this moment, have had this crash come down on them, and those tiny moments of hope that they've had have been removed from them. So looking to find the causes that aren't the big ones who have huge budgets that are supporting people who are very much just about to have their fuse lit for their rocket to go off. And it's been dampened by this. So
Clean Break.
Go and check out Clean Break.
Could you make a story for
Yes.
Clean Break and at The Guilty Feminist, and we'll share it, and people can then
Absolutely.
find them. That would be amazing. And you picked up a book before. Is that a book you'd like to recommend, or are there any other books, TV shows, movies, anything we should be getting involved with while we've got
I think
we've got no nights out?
This is called Breaking Open, Finding a Way Through Spiritual Emergency, which I think is what you were talking about, which is this idea that actually when we crash and burn, that is something being our bodies and our spirits telling us something. I use the word spirit, meaning soul, our inner life. So it's a collection of essays, so it's quite good because it's essays rather than a massive book, so you can just read one and then go back to Neighbours, whatever you want. This is quite good. I've been reading. It's called Use Philosophy to Be Happier. Terrible title, but great book. And it's really, again, really nice. All the books are like kind of like bags of Doritos, you know, like you can just take a little dip in. And then I've just got Queenie, so I'm just going to read that. A nice bit of fiction. That's probably enough, isn't it?
Yeah, make a little story of those as well, and we'll share those so people can see. I also want to ask you, finally, if you were let out right now and they said, we've rained a vaccine down, or everything's back on, you can do everything you were doing before, what would you be dying to do first?
I'll go and hug my mum and dad.
You can currently hug them one at a time.
I know I can't. No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
No,
you
can't.
Can't you?
No, Deborah, don't give fake news. I could go and stand outside their gate.
No,
you can see one person from another household. What?
Yeah.
Where did this news happen?
Yeah,
they've
just said it. Yeah.
When did this just then?
Philip Schofield was saying, this is ridiculous because I can see my mum and then I can see my dad, but I can't see them together.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I can.
Oh, you still have to be 2 meters apart. Oh, people are saying, oh, you can't go near them. Well, then what does that mean?
You just made me so happy and then so sad.
We could always go to the front door. We could always go to we could always stand 2 meters apart. If you bumped into someone in the street, you could stand 2 meters apart. How is that the same? That's the same.
It's so confusing.
Right, okay. You can see them but not hug them. You can't squish them, people are saying. So you can just be like, hi. How can you do this, though?
Which is exactly so tomorrow is my dad's 75th birthday, and we could drive. We could go and drive there, but I think it would be sadder to stand at the gate on his birthday and then to speak, because it would be horrible. I'd be like, I don't know, it's like sort of waving a cake in someone's face, isn't it?
Have a cup of tea in the kitchen. People are saying you can see them and go for a walk to the pub. Well, we could always do that. What's the new thing then? I just saw it. It was on the news.
So sad.
We would always been able to walk 2 meters apart. That's what Matt Hancock said to Philip Schofield, but that was always the case. I've seen people standing on the street talking to their relatives at the front door. So what? We can now go to their house, but they have to open the door. Then you walk in. Then they have 2 meters from you, and you're 2 meters from them. But it's really sad that you can't hug your dad on his 75th birthday.
I know.
I've been coping so well, Pippa.
I know.
And I don't think I'm coping now. I think I'm having a meltdown because I thought I could do a thing I can't do. People say no squishy hugs. What the fuck does this mean? Because you're not allowed to use public transport. This is irrelevant. They said you can drive and you can see people one at a time. You can
see one person from a house. You can't touch them. Do not touch anyone, Deborah. You can touch Thomas. That's it.
That's not
You're
what
going to have to touch Thomas. Just call Tom different names. Just get Tom to print off some faces, and he can wear them.
Dress up as a series of impro characters and FaceTime Pippa Evans. She needs that now. She needs that. Well, I thought what they said was, no, but what I don't understand, how is it new? How is this new? Because then what are they saying? This is the problem. Everyone got confused. Well, I don't know now. So just don't listen to me. It's the main takeaway from this is don't listen to me. But don't also listen to Boris Johnson, because he doesn't know either.
He
Pippa,
doesn't
can I
know.
ask you a final question?
Is it a good one?
Could you please clarify the government's position on what we can and can't do in detail? I'm going to need detail.
The government has basically just said, just do what we did do, and then do now what you don't want to do, but you can do it as long as you do it well. But don't do it if it seems like doing it's going to cause some kind of problem. So do it, but don't do it.
Somebody said I'm thinking about paying my parents to pave my driveway, so I'm allowed to have them at my house. Because
this is it, because you're allowed your nanny and a cleaner. You're allowed a nanny and a cleaner.
The same. Oh, I did see Catelyn Moran, very, very funny, saying it is such a typical public school boarding school boys to say you can't see your mum and dad, but you can see your nanny and the cleaner.
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
If my cleaner comes in and touches everything and cleans everything and says, well, even if I'm 2 meters away, she's touched everything. She's wiped down my bath. Like, she's like, of course.
But also, how are those the first people that you want in your house?
I mean, I'd be delighted to see my lovely cleaner. I mean, and I just want to say, just to clarify, I'm paying my cleaner to stay home, and I'm certainly not going to ring her up and go, think it's safe, come back. That's not fair to her. She's got kids, and it's the wrong thing to do. So I'm not letting my cleaner come back. I'd rather pay her to stay away. But I don't understand how, if I had kids, I could have a nanny here. Can I employ you as my nanny to look after Tom, who sometimes wants a sandwich, and then Pippa, you could come over, make Tom a sandwich, play a little game with him. I could go off, I'll go off to the shops for an hour, then I'll come back, because I'm allowed to go to the park. It's in the park. I'll go in the park for an hour, then I'll come back, then we can have a cup of tea because you're already here. Would you be Tom Salinsky's nanny? And then we can hang out the day.
I love nothing more than to be Tom Salinsky's nanny.
Okay, then that is my unusual.
Make my day.
Okay, that would be my unusual. Last question then. Is there anything we can see you in, support you at, online?
Yes.
Content?
May I tell you about Friday night, which is Showstopper's alternative Eurovision Song Contest?
I demand that you do right now.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. All of the Showstoppers are representing different countries and doing cracking songs live. They've recorded live from their front rooms, and but I am hosting it live from my. You will see this very wall on Friday. So we're doing live broadcast of the performances of countries from all of Europe. So please come and watch that. It's on the Showstopper, which I think is at Showstopper Musical, but I'll do a story as well if you can
do a story. Do those 3 stories and at the Guilty Feminist, and we'll share them. So everybody here watching, those stories will be up for 24 hours, as will Pippa's interview, and then it will go onto YouTube. And something that Pippa has said today will end up on a T-shirt that is only printed on demand, so there's no waste, and it's done in the most ecological way possible. And if you buy that T-shirt, the money will go directly to Pippa Evans, the 100%, because the merch store are giving 100% of the profits to the artist. So please buy Pippa's T-shirt. I don't know what it will say. Is there anything Pippa has said that you would like on that shirt? Hello. I feel like that we could be more inventive. Is there anything you said that you would particularly like on a T-shirt?
Surely it's something about I've been riding Ronan's roller coaster or something, isn't it?
Oh,
the roller coaster. Must be something like that.
As Ronan says, life is a roller coaster. We've just got to ride it. Yes, that's very good. That's very good. Okay. So, or it could be I want to be Tom Salinsky's nanny. That could be a popular design as well. Could be a very popular design.
Hey, you're in charge of the Guilty Feminist, so you pick whichever you think.
Well, no, Hannah picks. Hannah picks. Hannah from the merch watches this every day, and she picks. But I just like to give her options at the end.
Okay.
So one of those, or if anyone else has got any other ideas, then that would be great. But we will tune in Friday night to see Showstopper the musical.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Eurovision Showstopper sounds absolutely brilliant. And also follow Pippa Evans at I Am Pippa Evans on Instagram, or at Twitter. You are
at I Am Pippa Evans, keeping the brand real.
Anna's saying Tom Salinsky's nanny is strong. So, I don't know how you think about that. Tom, did you hear any of that? Okay, so Pippa Evans, because we're not allowed to have friends over, but we're allowed to have a nanny over. I'm going to employ Pippa Evans to come over and be your nanny for 2 hours a day.
Because I'm the one who needs a nanny.
He just went, because I'm the one who needs a nanny, implying that it's me. But you weren't here when I was arranging it, darling. I'll go
It'd
to
be
the
so
park for an
fun.
hour.
Deborah, he
I'll
can
come back
write
and we'll
plays
all
and
play
I'll
together.
put them on.
Oh, she said you can write plays and she'll put them on. He is laughing at that. He's finding that he's coming round to that. He's seeing the appeal now. He's seeing it as a nanny table read. Yeah, absolutely. So her t-shirt might be "I'm Tom Salinsky's nanny." That's the only thing. He's all right with it. He's making a face like he'll live with it. You know, he's a very adaptable man. I mean, that is the thing. Pippa Evans, this has been an unbelievable delight. And the rest of this week, we've got some brilliant people. So check out who they are on the stories. I know we've got Layla Hussein. Who else have we got? I'm trying to think now. Brilliant people, though. Have a look. It will be on the thing. Oh, Dan Schreiber from No Such Thing as a Fish. So check those out on the stories. And we will see everyone back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. for the new normal. Thank you so much, Pippa Evans.
Thank you, Deb. Bye.
It's been a delight. Bye.